A future with deoxyribonucleic acid. Science has been the driving force, alongside faith and art, behind human curiosity since the first time man discovered such aspects of life. From the discovery of tides by Seleucus of Seleucia to Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection, the human race has continually looked deeper and deeper into the uncharted waters of the unknown that is the scientific world. However, now in the 21st century, science presents us with a slew of ethical issues in a plethora of ways which have the ability to gravely hinder our success as a race in ways that can be detrimental to the world as we know it. Scientific issues on the molecular level, such as alteration of genes and alleles, is an industry on the rise, and many believe is an attempt to play God. It has been sought after for years and discovered to help improve our lives. DNA testing allows us to perform a wide variety of tasks, such as determining one's ethnic background, testing for disease, or predetermining the DNA sequence of an offspring. Although great in theory, DNA testing acts as a double sword that can be dangerous in the wrong hands. With this in mind, it is our job to seek an ethical future in DNA research. We are moving in a direction in science where, sooner rather than later, the DNA sequence of every single human being will be recorded online and stored as part of the Human Genome Project. The HGP was a natural culmination of history of genetic research. However, this feat will make the privacy of each human's genetic makeup available to the public, including employers who could lay one off due to the chronic disease seen in his or her DNA. In a perfect world, this would not occur. But as we know it, the world is not perfect. And if there's a red flag in one's DNA, well, DNA will not hire. This discrimination based on genetic makeup is seen throughout the movie Gattaca, which involves a man named Vincent Freeman who is considered only mediocrely useful due to his average DNA. The problem here is that Vincent was one of the last natural babies born into a sterile, genetically enhanced world, where life expectancy and disease likelihood are ascertained at birth. Unfortunately, he has been plagued with a short life expectancy of just 30 years, which is the reasoning behind why he has no hope in a career where society discriminates against one's genes. His life goal has always been to travel throughout space in a mission to Saturn's 14th moon, and must undergo undercover as a man named Jerome Morrow in order to potentially participate. Jerome is granted permission to carry out the mission solely because of his deceivingly perfect genetic makeup. This is where the first ethical issue arrives. We are now living on the edge of a new era in the world where the possibility of living without health problems have been hindered human life for millions of years. And that's within sight. Unfortunately, such a knowledge comes with equally great responsibility. It is up to us to ensure a future in DNA research where the norm will be halting a genetic disease in a baby girl that has been in the family for generations, instead of halting the career of an aspiring physician simply because his genetic makeup says he is less fit for the job than another human being. Sad. Because of the rapid advancements made in science in recent years, we now have the ability to do things never before imagined to help increase quality of life. Although many people believe that too much knowledge is detrimental and may cause downfall, we must utilize all of our resources in order to fulfill an ethical future. This means we must be able to draw the fine line in determining what should be done and what should be left to fate and the unknown. A perfect example of this situation would be the child in the short story That Only a Mother by Judith Merrill. Here, Merrill hints at the possibility that the new baby will have a mutation from the very first page. Margaret gets a little letter from her mom who sees to be concerned that the doctors may have lied to her about baby girl being safe from harm and the fact that Margaret's husband Hank has been around nuclear material. Margaret then reads the medical news, which talks about children being born with mutations and how most of these unfortunate situations could have been predicted and should have been prevented. Margaret goes on to say that Hank and the others predicted it, but they failed to attempt to prevent it. The fact there was no action taken in attempting to prevent the mutation of the baby leads to the second ethical issue regarding DNA research. It is our duty as human beings to maximize our capabilities as a race, and we are doing so in ways that help benefit our lives. Of these beneficiaries, the ability to detect mutation, such as a missing limb due to radiation, is a recent discovery. However, now that we have uncovered this astonishing technique in mutation prevention, we, as human beings, should take every advantage of this knowledge and apply it to whatever situation arises. It clearly states in That Only a Mother that this technology was accessible in order to prevent the mutation of the baby, and therefore the necessary actions should have occurred. Fortunately, the world saw a major breakthrough in July of 2013, where scientists from the University of Washington discovered and pinpointed the exact nucleotide that carries a mutation for disease such as tuberculosis and certain types of cancer. This allows doctors to find out whether or not a baby is a victim of such a disease and allows for early treatment beginning at birth, which strongly increases the chance of defeating these otherwise deadly diseases. This process is now utilized with almost every nucleotide in DNA and allows doctors to, ethically, treat and enhance the lives of human beings with the resources that make such work possible. This type of work, along with the utilization of our power in medical science, must continue into the future in all aspects of life so that we may maximize our potential both physically and intellectually as a species. As mentioned previously, knowledge is power. Unfortunately, this power can easily be mishandled in ways that are seen to be unethical in society. The ability to know when to pinpoint and alter genes in DNA is where the fine line exists. When lives are saved and limbs are restored is where these resources should be utilized without question. However, once these resources are utilized in an attempt to pick and choose for specific genes in an offspring is when that line is crossed. The following image describes the process in which only healthy embryos are injected into the uterus. Moving on. Parents now have the ability to choose among a plethora of options regarding virtually every aspect of a baby and select for or against a specific gene in the DNA sequence. Soon enough, there will be a menu for aspiring parents who will simply need to fill out an order form for a baby, equipped with information regarding the desired gender as well as both physical and mental traits wanted. Now we are talking a major leap over that fine line, one that tinkers with nature, which is absolutely unethical. According to ABC News, a couple can use in vitro fertilization in order to implant their choice of a male or female embryo into the mother's womb for around $12,400. However, with this in mind, many people realize the cons of such a decision. I quote, "I think the world would be a bit more competitive. If everyone programmed their own kids, then everyone would be super smart, or super athletes. And everyone would be the same. There would be a lot of the same type of people. There wouldn't be as much diversity or variety." End quote. Although there are no limits in what we can discover, the limit exists in how we should utilize our findings, and playing God far exceeds the ethical limit. The rise and successful implementation of biotechnology such as alteration of gene mutation, DNA testing, and predetermining DNA sequence has created a myriad of ethical concerns about the role of man in the environment, how to handle genetic information, whether certain experiments are ethically wrong, and what constitutes as property. However, an ethical future is well in our sights if the necessary actions are performed. Actions that benefit all of humankind and results in the continued success and drive to pursue outstanding life within our species. Go Deeks.